Don't you know the beast is afoot here?
And socks filled with cream and candy rocks. Oh, potatoes and molasses.
A song rises over the lilies, sweeps high.
But I must. Are you ready to see true darkness?
If you wanted the short answer, yes, Over the Garden Wall is a masterpiece. Go watch it. But if you want a long answer, if you want to understand why this show is the true embodiment of fall, how it just blends an adventure with eldritch horror and comedy so seamlessly to create such an incredible world with just 10 chapters, 10 episodes, all 11 minutes long, to become one of the greatest viewing experiences that I have ever had, then stick around, because today I'm going to be diving deep into the entire series of Over the Garden Wall to truly understand why I consider it a masterpiece, why it is a show that I have to revisit every single year, because it is just that good. And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe, because I upload daily cartoon and movie content and you don't want to miss it. I also have a Discord that will be in the description. It's a great place to hang out. Now let's discuss Over the Garden Wall. How the gentle wind beckons through the leaves as autumn colors fall. I love the intro to the show. It's only in the first episode, but it's just unbelievably good for setting up how this show is going to look.
And where shall we end if dreams can't come true?
Seeing some of the characters that we're going to get to see, just getting that ambiance, that feeling, it's unbelievably good. And that leads us into the very first episode, the Old Grist Mill. And I think this was a great way to start the series, with a narrator just chiming in and being all like, beyond your expectations, there lies the unknown.
Called the unknown, where long forgotten stories are revealed to those who travel through the wood.
And that is the world we're going to be diving into, this forest that is called the Unknown. I love that, and just getting to see this forest that kind of looks like an eldritch horror itself. It's dark, it's gloomy, it looks a little bit despicable, only being illuminated by the moonlight. It helps to get you in that creepy tone, that creepy vibe, and I love it for that. There's a lot of shows that try to get a creepy vibe, specifically looking at cartoons here, and it just doesn't necessarily ever feel that. The only show that kind of replicates this is Courage the Cowardly Dog, but that feels completely different from what Over the Garden Wall is able to make you feel. It genuinely captures that feeling of being so unsettled, and I love that. Not to say the series isn't without moments where you feel blissful and whimsical, because there definitely are moments like that, but when it wants to be creepy, it is really creepy. And that dives into Wirt and Greg just going through the forest, and they're a little bit lost. And I love both of these characters so much. They work so well. Wirt is a bit of a worry guy. He's a worry wart. Wirt is a worry wart. Oh, Lord. Yeah, he's a bit of a worry guy. He's kind of a spaz. But that leads to a great character arc for him, so I'm very happy that he is this way, and he's like this, but I wouldn't say that it's annoying to where I don't like watching his character. And then there's Greg, who is just the most whimsical cartoon character you could ever meet. He's in such detrimental situations, to say the least, and the way he just reacts to everything can always get a laugh out of you. In this show that is genuinely so creepy in its own way, Greg is just a great highlight, just a little angel that in the most tense situations, he could get a laugh out of you. And that's what I really appreciate about his character. The show would not feel the same without him, and either way, I'm just trying to say I love the main characters a lot. And so, Wirt and Greg are just walking through the forest. They encounter a talking bird. This is very shocking. Are we losing our minds out here, Greg? Gregory? Birds don't talk. They're just very confused about their surroundings, and they hear a man chopping wood in the forest, and Wirt, being his worrisome self, says that this is probably not a good idea. We probably shouldn't go and walk towards a strange chopping noise, because we'll probably die! But Greg, being his whimsical little self, he runs towards it, and they find the huntsman, the man in the woods, the axeman, this guy that is just chopping wood, and he says that he's chopping down these trees to get oil. He even takes them back to the grist mill to hang out there and keep them safe from something he calls the beast.
Don't you know the beast is afoot here?
The beast? We don't know anything about that. We're just two lost kids trying to get home.
Well, welcome to the unknown, boys.
What could that be? I love the build up to the beast. I really like that it wasn't shown in the first episode because it kind of helps to keep it unsettling for a very long time. Even when he eventually is introduced, he is a terrifying presence throughout the entire show, and he is always lurking, and I think he is a great villain for the show. And the Huntsman, his fear of him, you could definitely feel it. I love it. I'm all about it. And so he goes to tend to whatever he's going to tend to, and this leaves Wirt to just be contemplating everything. He doesn't understand why he's here. He's thinking about home and how to get back, and Greg is just like, I must find my frog. I must find my frog. I need my frog. I need my frog. Because he has a little pet frog and he's trying to name it. And I like the frog a lot, but the frog is missing. And so Greg just goes outside, and that is when the show really picks up with its horror vibe, because Greg is being watched by something. He hears something, and he hears his frog just back in a barrel. He runs over, he hops in that barrel, he has his frog. And that is when he hears footsteps approaching, and we just see these terrifying eyes and just this wolf beast right above Greg. And like, it cuts the tension so unbelievably well, because genuinely, I get a little bit tense when I watch this scene. I was like, oh, that's kind of a scary looking wolf there. And then Greg just nonchalantly, oh, you have beautiful eyes.
Kitty? You have beautiful eyes.
Like, what, dude? How are you capable of not being afraid of this creature? Either way, they hear a noise, Greg runs back in, and the wolf is now attacking them. The Huntsman is ready with his axe, and then Greg just knocks him out.
Greg,
why did you do that?
That was your plan, remember?
Just because Wirt talked about knocking out the Huntsman so that they could leave. That was a wild scene. He just knocks him out, and then they have to run away from the wolf in this pretty tense scene. I like it. I love how the wolf is designed, and the wolf wants some candy, so they're throwing candy, and then they manage to get on the roof, and then they throw candy down into like the mill part. The wolf jumps down in there. He's getting crushed by it, but he spits out a black turtle. Yeah, that was pretty interesting to say the least, and this reverts him back into a normal dog. He was just infected by this weird, unknown type turtle thing. Very interesting, but I loved it. And the Huntsman reveals that the wolf is not the actual beast. It is not what they should be worried about. They should be worried about something so much worse. And so, the Huntsman lets them go on their merry way, pointing them in the direction of a nearby town, and that is the end of the very first episode. It is so good at setting up how this series is supposed to make you feel. You feel unsettled, you feel creeped out. Greg is a great just way to add a little bit of comedy and help you feel at ease, but overall, I feel terrified, and I'm very excited to see where this adventure is going to go. I want to see the beast. I want to see how Wirt and Greg are going to get home. This episode sets up everything so perfectly. I love the first episode of Over the Garden Wall. There is nothing I would change about this introduction, except there is an episode that you could oddly enough put before this one in a way, but we'll talk about that later. Going into episode 2, Hard Time at the Huskin Bee, we first get to see what this forest looks like during the day, and God, it looks so good! It looks so good! The artists, I would just be like this! Yes, draw! Keep drawing! Because it genuinely just looks so unbelievably good. I love the way this show looks. They're walking through the forest and they find Beatrice the bird that was talking before, who is caught in a bit of a predicament. So Greg helps her out and is now bound to help them forever until she returns the favor. That is the goal. And Wirt decides they're going to Pottsfield, this silly little town, and they go there, they step on some pumpkins, they're just trying to figure out if they could find any people. And I love this one scene where they walk into this house, and the only thing that I could describe what this turkey was doing, other than sleeping, that's the lame way to describe it, is he was doing the Fenny nod. 100%.
Excuse me. Anyone here? Hello? Oh, sorry.
He's just like, oh, because there's just this turkey just lying on this table. I don't know why he was doing that, but either way, they walk to this barn. And they find a bunch of literal pumpkin people all dancing around very cult-like, celebrating some kind of harvest. And Wirt, being optimistic about this, he decides that he's going to walk in, ask some questions, maybe figure out if somebody can take them home. And he's asking some questions, and he's talking about leaving, and one of the pumpkins overhears him. and says, "Nobody leaves Pottsfield. What are you talking about?" And I have to say that these pumpkins are really creepy. They're like weird smiles. Some of them don't have smiles. I don't know. Something about them I don't like. And when we see the big pumpkin man, the fear just escalates, especially when he starts talking about what he's going to do to them and how they destroyed their crops, how they're interrupting their harvest, how it's just so weird. This giant pumpkin, he's very ominous.
Children, it saddens me that you don't wish to stay here with us, particularly because I simply have to punish you for your transgressions.
I told you this place was bad news.
Albeit he looks really cool, but he is ominous. And then just that beautiful cut in the tension when you're a little bit on edge when he just says, "I sentence you to community service. Oh ho ho ho." So yeah, Wirt and Greg and the bird just have to do some community service, and that's pretty much it. So they're just doing a bunch of chores, and then eventually they think that they're digging their own grave, so they freak out. Greg and the bird ditch. Wirt is struggling, and then it's revealed that the skeletons that they dug up are actually a part of the harvest and are given pumpkin bodies so that they could enjoy the harvest as well. A very weird thing in death. That's a very weird concept, but it's kind of cool. Like, you just dig up a dead body, the dead body is just given some pumpkins and is all of a sudden like, whoo-hoo, hell of a harvest, baby! Hell of a harvest! Just something like that. I enjoyed that aspect a lot. I thought that was really cool, but now that leads us into our next episode and what we can continue to expect from this journey, which is Wirt, Greg, and Beatrice all going to try to find Adelaide, a woman of the forest, a woman of magic that could potentially get them home. I love this episode a lot because it helps to explore what this world looks like when it's not trying to be a full-on eldritch horror. Of course, it's still terrifying because of these weird pumpkin people, but they were actually very wholesome. I enjoyed it. And I like the introduction of Beatrice as a character because you're very wondering about what she's all about, because it does kind of sound iffy that she's so adamant on getting them this favor, and it helps to add to the mystery of her character as well, and the eventual reveal that we inevitably get about her character. But still, very cool. I love the progression of the story. I love the progression of the world. Still looks incredible. The ambiance is great. And episode 2 is also just a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, and I love watching where the story is going. Going into episode 3, Schooltown Follies, you would think a show that is only 10 episodes that are all 11 minutes long, you would probably be focusing on this linear story, right? Well, no, because Schooltown Follies genuinely feels like a filler episode, a slice of life, but it's told so unbelievably well, and it makes you care so much more about these characters that I love it so much, man. So in this episode, Beatrice, Wirt, and Greg are on their way to Adelaide until Wirt feels offended because Beatrice says that he's a pushover, which leads to, a slight progression in Wirt's character where he doesn't want to be viewed as that, he wants to prove that he's not that, and by trying to prove that, he's going to become the biggest pushover of all time. He's going to do literally anything somebody tells him to do. Anything. And when Greg runs off and they end up at the school for woodland animals, I really like that. I mean, it's just a bunch of woodland animals like a raccoon and a deer and a pig, but they're wearing human clothes and they're drawn really silly, so obviously I'm gonna be a big fan. How could I not be a big fan? He decides that he's going to go to school here, and while Greg is off gallivanting with other animals wearing clothes, just doing a bunch of silly things. Is this that important to the overall story? No, not really. But I still love it all the same. It is an amazing slice of life episode to get to enjoy these characters a lot more. So Wirt is in this class with this teacher who is obsessed with her former lover, and she's all like, A is for the something, the heart, oh, my heart. B is for betrayal because he left me. C is for cabbage. I don't know, I can't really remember what she says, but it's a pretty funny song, I'm not gonna lie.
A is for the apple that he gave to me, but I found a worm inside.
And she keeps on going for a very long time, talking about a gorilla. Very interesting. What is going on with gorillas? Well, we find out very quick when Greg accidentally stumbles upon this gorilla who starts chasing them, and they barely manage to escape by ringing this bell, which announces that it is now lunchtime. Yippee! Yummy, yummy food! And that is when we get one of the most wholesome scenes in the entire show, where everybody is sick of the food. It's just bland potatoes, no seasoning, nobody likes it, and Greg, he spots some molasses. And that's when he just starts giving everybody molasses while singing, potatoes and molasses, sweeter than all your algebra classes. I don't know. It's fire.
No potatoes and molasses. If you can't see 'em, put on your glasses.
It's wholesome. It's sweet. It makes the episode better. It's probably the most memorable song of the show. It's so good. I don't know. It doesn't even sound like unbelievably good. It's not even the most catchy thing ever. But if you just sit down and listen to him just going potatoes and molasses, it's just wholesome. It's good fun. I enjoy it until it's interrupted by none other than, you know who else is voiced in the show? Sam Morin from Regular Show.
Been paying for?
Hey, we just wanted to have a little fun.
Oh my god! He doesn't have the Muscle Man voice, but I could clearly hear a little bit of Benson. He's like, oh, what? This is the money I've been spending on this school of animals. There's a little bit of Benson in there, which I enjoyed. It was a good surprise to have that realization that he was the one voicing the school owner, and he takes away all of their instruments so they can't sing potatoes and molasses anymore. He goes away. All the animals are really sad. They're heartbroken. They don't know what to do. What's the point of it all? And so Greg gets the help of Wirt, because Wirt is willing to do anything. They go outside, and they find out that the school owner, he's just sad because he doesn't have enough money to keep funding this. So Greg gets the brilliant idea to steal all the instruments. Huzzah! Takes them all. And then the school owner wakes up in the morning, is like, oh no, bro! All of the instruments are gone! What am I gonna do? And he walks over, and he finds all the animals and Greg just having a big old banquet, getting that money from all the people and playing the songs and thus saving the school. Yeah, baby! That's what we needed! School education for woodland animals, yeah, baby! So yeah, the school's safe, and then the gorilla shows up again, and he gets his head knocked off, and it's revealed to be Jimmy, the guy that is dating the school teacher, or was, and they're happily in love, and apparently he just got stuck in that gorilla costume. Oh my god, we're just wrapping up loose ends left and right in this slice of life episode, and it's very good. I don't know what else to tell you. This episode could be taken out of the series, and it wouldn't really be that important, but I am so glad that it's just 11 minutes to get to know the characters better. You get to see Beatrice slightly, get out of her shell a little bit. I guess you could say this episode is very important for Beatrice's character, to notice that Wirt and Greg are good people, that are good kids, and kind of develop a friendship with them. So I enjoy that aspect. I also think this episode is very important for Wirt's character, so yeah. I think the show does need this episode in many ways, but it also doesn't. So yeah, very good episode. Still love the world, love the ambience. That's always going to be something I have to talk about for every single episode. I like all the designs. It was a lot of fun, and this episode was really great. The next episode in the story is Songs of the Dark Lantern, and in the beginning of this episode, they're riding on a wagon, and we get to see that the huntsman is still following them, still lurking in the woods, and they end up at this dark tavern. They go in there to ask for directions, and we get a lot of shenanigans here. Mainly, we get one really funny scene where Beatrice the bird is just sitting on the shoulder, and they're asking who they are, and then the tavern keep is like, no birds here! And then Beatrice is all like, curse you, lady! When you die, I'll laugh. I thought that was pretty funny.
I don't need any of it. Curse you, lady. Curse you. You'll die someday, and I'll laugh. Laugh!
But Beatrice has to wait outside, which leaves Wirt and Greg just inside dealing with the townfolk. And the townfolk, they really believe in labels, something that truly identifies a core trait of your personality. There's a tavern keep, a master and apprentice, and then there's the highwayman, who sings a very hard song, and the animation just looks so wild, where he's going like, that's the best way I could describe it, but his song goes pretty hard. They're very big on songs. And so we get a bunch of scenes where they're trying to find out who Wirt is, and they initially think that he's a lover, he's a man looking for Adelaide, the fine lady that she is, and then they decide that he is the Pilgrim, which is I think a important moment for Wirt's character to help him determine that he could be something else, because in that moment, he does feel like the Pilgrim, a hero who writes his own story, and this leads to him saving Beatrice, who flew off into the woods and was screaming, so Wirt hops onto a horse, rides out into there, and confronts the huntsman who is standing next to the bird. Now, we didn't see what happened in particular, but it doesn't stop Wirt from grabbing onto the guy's leg, tripping over his lantern, and lighting this dark, demonic, soul-like tree on fire, and the huntsman looks distraught, he looks terrified, and he genuinely looks like he just lost something.
He says upon you.
And this is where we truly get to learn the first aspects of how dark the huntsman's story is. In the tavern, there was one more story that I left out specifically to talk about this moment, where they talk about the beast. And also those specific trees that the huntsman is looking for, and the oil that he is trying to harvest. All of that stuff, and how they mention that he who holds the dark lantern is the beast. The huntsman is probably the most in-depth character in this show, and you genuinely feel so unbelievably bad for him, and I'll get into that story more once we get to the episode where a lot more is revealed. But either way, it's very dark, and this episode reveals and foreshadows a lot of stuff about that lantern, about the huntsman, and about the beast himself. It's all very dark and demonic stuff, but either way, I'm all for it. I'm enjoying it. Wirt, Greg, and the little bird, Beatrice, they all run away, and they manage to escape and are now going towards Adelaide once again. Overall, a very good episode. I love the tavern. I love getting to see all these townspeople and all their silly little labels. I enjoyed all of those aspects. I enjoyed the rain. I really do like the ambience of this show a lot. There's a little bit of comedy thrown in there to splice it up, but overall, we are progressing the story in a major way, learning more about this beast, going to Adelaide. And you think I would just talk about this episode without talking about the most important part of this episode, that being the introduction of the beast. We finally get to see that character after the children run away, the huntsman is alone, and just in the background, God, is he ominous, just with these antlers only illuminated by darkness and his white eyes. I like that the beast isn't just some creature, just this mindless creature. It has a goal, and the way he talks, I also never really expected. He doesn't have really a scary voice. He's just, "Hello, huntsman. Running low on oil, are we?" I kind of like that he has that voice. He is still very intimidating. He is a very intimidating force just with his presence alone.
No need for violence, woodsman, but be sure to keep it lit, or your daughter's flame will go out forever.
But his voice also helps him to make him a more compelling character in a way. Either way, scary as hell, scary as fuck. The beast is a terrifying presence, and we also get to learn that the huntsman has his daughter in this lantern in this episode, and that is why he is trying to keep it lit, and we also learn that the beast is truly looking for the children. What a crazy way to end that episode. It's so wild, but it's such a good time to introduce the beast, because obviously he's a lurking threat just by, the mention of his name, but now that we see him and just what he means, I don't know. It adds a whole new layer of fear to the show. At least that's how I feel about it. The next episode we're going to be taking a look at is Mad Love, which focuses on Greg, Wirt, and Beatrice, and the horse Fred, all being in this mansion of this super rich guy whose name is Andicott, and they're trying to find 2 pennies so that they could ride the ferry in order to keep going towards Adelaide. And we just get a bunch of shenanigans in this episode. It's really a shenanigan episode. We get some great characterization for Wirt and Beatrice, as well as some good Greg and Andicott just stuff, because Andicott is all like, "Oh my, I saw such a dashing woman, I fell in love with a ghost. Oh, the ghost, see, it was just immeasurable, I have to find it once again." And so Greg, Andicott, and Fred the horse all go looking for this ghost. Well, Wirt and Beatrice are trying to find 2 simple pennies. Wirt and Beatrice end up getting locked in this cabinet, which is where we learn a lot about Beatrice, the fact that she used to be a human, and she apparently threw a rock at a bluebird and turned her entire family into bluebirds.
I threw a rock at a bluebird and it cursed me and my family, and now we're all bluebirds. Happy? Now you go.
We also get a little bit of stuff for Wirt about how he is in love with this girl, hopelessly in love, and he plays the clarinet, and he likes poetry. So just good characterization for them, and you could see them forming a genuine bond in this episode. That's one of the main points of it, I feel like. And then you also have Greg and Andicott just going on this big journey because this house is just so unbelievably huge, and eventually they stumble into this green room, and I really like that they're just like kind of on edge, and Endicott thinks that he's going mad because he doesn't know if the ghost is real or if he's insane, whatever it might be. And then just at a moment where he's just like, oh, I might be mad, a fucking peacock just jumps through the goddamn window and just screams at them for no reason. Silly peacock. Or is it called poopcock? Because nobody bats an eye. Sorry, my brain is poisoned. So either way, they keep walking. They eventually find this ghostly room, and the horse is now accusing Endicott of being a violent madman. Endicott doesn't know if he's mad or not, and that's when we see the ghost woman walk through the door and is like, oh, hello! She walks in. Endicott passes out. The lady passes out, and it turns out that both of them just had such large mansions that they were actually intertwined, and they basically been living together for however long. Doesn't really make sense, but you know, they just smooch each other. Love! Mad love! Oh lord! And that's pretty much the end of the episode. They get their pennies, but Greg being... I don't really know what he was thinking here, I'm not gonna lie. He's like, Endicott said I got sense, but I got no sense. So he tosses the penny into this pond. That was a bit odd, to say the least, I guess. But this episode was really good just for characterization. It's probably definitely not my favorite episode in the whole series. I still think it's really good. I loved all the stuff that we got to learn about Beatrice and Wirt, and I won't lie, the Greg and Endicott stuff was still really fun. It's definitely not my favorite out of all the silly adventures that they go on throughout this 10-episode journey, but it was still good nonetheless. I liked watching Endicott progressively get more and more mad. I was enjoying that aspect a lot. Overall, a decent episode in the journey and very good for characterization moments. The next episode we're looking at in the story is Lullaby in Frogland, and this episode follows them actually getting on the ferry. They're just having a good time, you know. The frog's name is now George Washington, which is great. I'm happy about that. I love the frog, and they're just singing. They're like, Adelaide, Adelaide, we're going to Adelaide, oh yeah, baby. And Beatrice is acting a little bit weird, kind of like she doesn't want them to go there. What's that all about? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in this episode. Maybe. Just maybe. Either way, some guard frogs find them and are trying to arrest them because they got onto the ferry without paying. So they run away, they get into some costumes, they put the frog on top because it's a ferry of frogs. They're all frog people, which is great. And so George Washington is on top. They're doing that 3 men in a trench coat. They're going along, and they eventually get to this stage where they're going to have to sing a little bit of songs. And George Washington, first of all, he hasn't spoke once in the series yet, but God, does he have some pipes on him, baby. Woo-wee, over the garden wall.
A song rises over the lilies, sweeps high to clear over the reeds.
It's incredible. He sings so well. I'm just having a great time in it. This one song is just the ultimate vibe. It's just stuff like this that I love about the show so much. It's something is just so cozy about the song, all the frogs dancing, some of them humming, going like, just something about it just is enchanting in a way. I really love this scene where he's just singing, having a good time, and even the guards decide they don't want to catch him because he's got them pipes. They're just having that good of a time. And so they get off the ferry, and Beatrice doesn't really want them to go to Adelaide's anymore. Not at all, not even remotely. And so they go to bed. And Beatrice sneaks off in the middle of the night. Wirt and Greg follow her, following close behind. The frog isn't with them right now because George Washington is getting a label signing. Pop off, Mr. Froggy. Pop off. You know who else wants to get signed by the labels? I don't know. I'm happy for George Washington. I was really happy for him there. And they chase down Beatrice, and Beatrice is talking to Adelaide, and Adelaide says that she just wants slaves. She wants little slave boys to keep her company and to help her in her time of need. Beatrice is offering to give herself as a servant, as a slave, and that's when Wirt and Greg show up. And they're immediately tied up by a bunch of ropes, and Wirt feels so betrayed by Beatrice.
Beatrice, what? But I thought we were friends.
It's a very sad moment in the show. And then it just gets so unbelievably insane because Beatrice cracks open a window and Adelaide has some kind of disease where she's just allergic to the outdoors because just the air coming in, she starts literally melting in a gruesome scene.
Let's go. The deadly air. Whoa, jeez, she wasn't kidding. It's French.
She just melts to the floor, but that isn't enough to get Wirt to trust Beatrice ever again. So they run away, leaving Beatrice all alone. George Washington does come back though, but Wirt now has severe trust issues with everybody in this forest, and so he leaves with Greg and George Washington, and Beatrice is left alone. This episode has such an interesting mix of vibes, at least to me. The beginning of it was just so wholesome. I mean, the Beatrice being really worried was kind of unsettling a little bit, but all that stuff on the Frog Ferry was just beautiful. That song, the chase scenes, everything about it was just great television. And then when you get to Adelaide, that creepy, unsettling vibe returns after kind of being gone for a little bit in the show. But man, its return is very ominous, with Adelaide wanting servant boys, tying them up. What was she gonna do to them? Could she actually turn Beatrice back into a human? So many different questions that weren't really answered for Adelaide's character, because she literally just gets melted into a pool of fleshy tar bits. But that was crazy. Yeah, it just keeps you having a lot of questions, especially about Beatrice's character and her intentions and all that stuff, while also wondering where the show is going to go now. What is Beatrice going to do in the future? Where are Wirt and Greg going to go without Beatrice now that there's no more Adelaide? It was a great way to take the show, especially because the past 2 episodes were kind of more on the slice of life side. It felt like they were still progressing the story, but this one genuinely shakes up the entire thing, and you wonder what is going to happen next. The next episode that we're going to be taking a look at is the episode The Ringing of the Bell. And this episode follows the immediate aftermath of the betrayal of Beatrice, with Beatrice being all sad about it, Wirt not understanding the betrayal and being hurt, and Greg just not understanding the gravity of the situation, but they must push on. They run into the woodsman again. I don't know why I was calling him Huntsman earlier. I guarantee you I'm going to get some comments that are like, actually, it's the woodsman. You're calling him Huntsman. Did you even watch the show? I don't know why I was doing that, but either way, the woodsman, he runs into them again, and Wirt, not trusting anyone, doesn't hear his worry, saying that the beast is hunting him specifically, and that he needs to be aware of the beast's presence. They run away, and we do get to see the beast again, and his aura and his ominous tendencies are still very apparent even in the daylight. Yeah, he's a very scary creature. I love his design, and he says that he needs to talk to the woodsman. That's all we get.
Boys, beware the beast! Woodsman, huh? We should talk.
As Greg and Wirt stumble upon this cabin in the woods. They decide to go in, even though it looks really run down, thinking it's abandoned, and that's when they just stumble upon Alana, just a maid girl who tells them immediately to hide in this basket. And God, does it get so horrifying after this. I do not like the aunt's design at all. I mean, I guess that's the intention, but Jesus, I'm always so on edge whenever I watch this scene. The aunt walks in and she's a big woman. I'm talking Mondo, okay? She's huge, and she just starts talking like, I can smell the children here. Are there children here, Alana? I could smell them. Don't lie to me. They want to get devoured.
Tell me where you are hiding them, precious one. The ringing of the bell commands you.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very unsettling. And she starts using this bell to command Alana to tell her the truth. And Alana gives in, says that they're in the basket, but she just sees the turtles, so she consumes a turtle. Poor turtle. Poor turtle. But either way, she says that there's nobody here, so she goes up and takes a nap. And that is when Greg and Wirt get out of the basket and they talk to Alana about Alana's curse and her sickness and how it's very odd, but they agree to help Alana and want to help her escape from her aunt. So they're doing all of this, and then it just gets so much worse because Greg goes upstairs because his frog runs upstairs, and I was just like at the edge of my seat every time I watch this. I'm just like, oh, Greg! No! Don't go up there with that damn bewitched woman! She's a bitch! Don't do it, she'll eat you! And we just see Greg get really scared. He runs downstairs, and that is when the aunt is seen chasing him. And they run with Alana into this back room, into this dark room, and that is when the aunt starts saying some suspicious things. Oh no! You'll be devoured! Get out of there! You'll be devoured! Oh my god. This episode is terrifying just because Wirt is kind of confused, like, what do you mean? And then just behind him, you just see Alana transform into this beast, and the way she is designed is honestly horrifying, with her teeth just protruding from her mouth, her eyes stretching up like just a demonic ghostly figure, and she just starts trying to eat them.
What is she talking about?
They run away, and God, the scene where she's just like, I must feed. It's so weird. It's so creepy. This show does scary and horror stuff better than any other cartoon. Genuinely. This was terrifying. And then we get to the one thing that I really didn't like about this episode. Though honestly, my one complaint with the whole series, really. Alana's spirit is defeated in a very dumb way, at least that's how I look at it, because Alana's chasing them and they have the bell that can commands Alana to tell the truth or to do whatever it says, and Wirt just grabs and he's like, the spirit shall leave Alana's body and will never return, will be gone forever, and then that works. Right away, the spirit's just gone.
The ringing of the bell commands you. Stop making Lorna do bad stuff, spirit. And also go away and don't come back.
So you're telling me, in the years that Alana probably had this curse, the aunt never once tried, like, to get rid of it in any way, using the bell that literally commands her to do whatever you say, even when she's in the spirit form? Is that not weird to anybody? It's just weird. Like, they ring the bell and they're like, be gone, spirit, and then she's back to normal, which I'm happy about. It's a good resolution. I'm happy for Alana and the aunt, who turns out to just be a very normal aunt who cares for her daughter, but still, it's just kind of underwhelming. Like, how does that work so easily? I feel like somebody would try to ring the bell and help her in some kind of way. But either way, it's not like a huge horrible thing. I still think this episode is amazing. The tension was there, all that good stuff. I still think this episode was fantastic. Just that's kind of like my only gripe with it though, just because that was such an underwhelming way of saving her. But either way, still a very good episode, and just to top that all off, at the end we do get to see the conversation between the woodsman and the beast once again.
There has to be another way.
No, there is only me. There is only my way. There is only the forest, and there is only surrender.
The beast saying that all hope was almost lost with him having that conversation with Wirt and almost throwing everything out the window, and that the only way is for them to surrender, for him to get the soul, and for that lantern to stay lit. It's very ominous, and it helps to develop the beast even more. It's just, he's a very scary presence, and we want to know why he needs these souls so unbelievably bad. He's very scary, man. I don't like the beast very much, but I did love the end of this episode. It's so great to have an actual villain that is just pure evil, but is still a mystery in a way. I enjoy that a lot. The next episode in the story is Babes in the Woods, and this episode really tackles the fact that Wirt is now truly lost. He's depressed, he's thinking about the beast, he's kind of speaking in a very weird way that he's lost all hope. He tells Greg that he could be the leader from now on, which leads to Greg wishing upon a star and going all the way to Cloud City. Initially, I thought this was just going to be a silly dream episode, to cut the tension a little bit, but I did not realize the importance of this, to say the least. There's a lot of shenanigans in this episode, like a bunch of songs in Cloud City. They're just having a good time until Greg opens this door and this evil cloud shows up, and we honestly get a banger song out of this. The Old North Wind.
Shudders, I say the old north wind. Yes, he is. He's gonna fat. He's gonna spin.
I liked that. I was having fun with it, and it eventually leads to Greg battling the Old North Wind, fighting him and defeating him. And this leads him to meeting the Queen of Cloud City, who is willing to help him to wish upon a star and give him a genuine wish. And his wish is to go home with Wirt. But this cannot be done because the beast has already claimed Wirt. Wirt is too lost to go home.
See how the Edelwood grows around him? The beast has claimed him already.
So this is where it really caught me off guard. I was not expecting this. I really thought this was just going to be whimsy and mystical. Oh, before the crazy finale. Oh, we're just going to have a lot of whimsy. But no. Greg wishes to switch places with Wirt and become the one that the beast has claimed. That was really crazy. I did not expect that. We then cut back down to Wirt just trying to take a nap, and Greg says for him to take care of Ronald, also known as George Washington, also known as Wirt Jr., the frog, because he has to go take care of something. And then we hear the beast talking to Greg saying that it's time to go, and Greg asking if we're going to get to go home now. Yeah, it's just honestly very sad and very crazy.
I have to go now. Goodbye, Wirt.
Yes, come, Gregory. There is much to be done.
Of course, Wirt wakes up and realizes that Greg is gone, and what he has done, he chases after him and he falls into a lake and is pulled out by Beatrice and this fish guy, and he's freezing to death, and then the episode ends. That is a crazy cliffhanger for an episode. I remember semi-watching this when this came out, and I remember feeling very distraught when this happened. I did not like that. I did not like that cliffhanger at all. That is awful to watch the beast take away the pure joy of the series and Wirt to almost be on the verge of death. That was crazy. Just a overall crazy episode. There's nothing too, like, jokey about this episode, besides, like, the fun parts of Cloud City. But, God, this was just straight to the point, because the next episodes are all bangers, just leading to the ultimate conclusion. The next episode in the story is Into the Unknown, and this is where we get to learn the backstory, the precursor to them going over the garden wall and into the unknown. And I actually am very glad that this episode was placed all the way at the end of the series. Obviously, it could have been the opener, it could have been the first episode, but I think looking as the episodes go on and you get to watch the progression of Wirt's character into a semi-hero willing to actually go and do stuff compared to how he is in this episode, I think it's a great thing to see how he started compared to where he is by the end of the series. Because in this episode, it truly does highlight that Wirt is just kind of the most pathetic person you could ever be. He's too scared to talk to the girl that he likes. He hates himself. He doesn't think that he could amount to anything. He doesn't think he could compete with Jason Thunderburger, a guy who literally talks like this. Like, hey Farrah, you wanna go to my crib in the graveyard and hold hands? That's basically how he talks. He doesn't think he can compete with that. He just doesn't really think he can amount to anything. Which is why, seeing this all the way at episode 9, it really makes you care for Wirt in a brand new way. If they showed him like this in the very first episode, then I probably wouldn't have liked his character that much initially, and I wouldn't have cared that much about his growth, but seeing it at episode 9, you're like, oh, no, Wirt! No, you can do things. You just have to believe in your self-worth. Please believe in your self-worth, my man. You have to. You can amount to things. You must save Gregory. You have to think about it that way. I don't know. I do enjoy the placement of this episode a lot. It's very much just Wirt and Greg going around trying to chase down Sarah so that Wirt can give her a mixtape that's just all about how much he loves her and wants to hang out with her. And he eventually loses the mixtape and is now trying to stop Sarah from ever listening to it because he's just too embarrassed, and this eventually leads to them all at the graveyard, and that is when a cop shows up and he's just joking. It's a running joke in this episode that this cop is just messing with people on Halloween. He's just like, I'm just joking. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. But the kids rightfully get scared and they run away, and this leads to Wirt and Greg climbing a wall, and they fall beyond it. They argue and a train startles them and they fall into a river into the unknown. It's just a really good episode to see how they got into this predicament, but also to see just square one the basis of who Wirt is. Greg doesn't really have a character arc in the series. He's just kind of that whimsy, hopeful little guy that you could always root for. He didn't necessarily need a character arc, but it's nice to see how Wirt was before all of this, before the finale, so that we could root for him even more to change as a person and do the right thing and save Greg. So I admire that episode for all of those aspects, and I'm glad that they chose to not have the precursor episode to start the series. And just like that, we are already at the finale of the series, the episode The Unknown. And it opens with Greg talking to the Beast. And Greg is a great cancellation for the Beast because you have this presence that is just so evil, but it's just Greg being like, oh yeah, I can do that, yeah, But then it's just followed up with the Beast ominously saying, as Greg lays there and waits for the sun to dive down into a cup, just stay there. Just let the cold absorb you, Greg. Just stay there still.
I'll never give up. Just gotta wait. Just gotta wait.
Yes, just sit there in the cold and wait.
And you think, wow, Greg might actually die. That's pretty scary. But then it cuts to the woodsman just doing his thing, just with all the Edelwood, trying his best to keep this lantern lit, and we hear the beast singing to Gregory, just this ominous song. The woodsman runs out, trying to get to whatever song this is, and finding Gregory being turned into a Edel tree.
Woodsman, I knew you would come. I have something for you.
So all those trees that we saw before with the faces on them, those are trees with genuine children's souls in them. That is a terrifying concept. Awful, awful concept. But either way, we cut to Wirt, who is just searching for Gregory, just trying his best to find him, trying to do anything he possibly can to find him, while the woodsman is trying to kill the beast, because the beast is just saying that the woodsman needs Gregory, he needs the soul, and the woodsman just can't keep going through with this. It's not what his daughter would have wanted. So we have the woodsman trying to kill the beast, while Wirt is trying to find Gregory, and he eventually does. He stumbles upon him, and of course the tension is just cut with Gregory saying that he was eating leaves. I love that, but it's still very worrying that Greg might die here. The beast shows up because Wirt found the lantern, he's holding it, and the beast is willing to cut a deal. If Wirt is willing to become the new lantern bearer, hold on to that lantern, then he is going to be willing to save Gregory by putting him inside of that lantern. But there's just something that doesn't really make sense there. And Wirt understands that. He initially points out that that is stupid. Why would he want to spend all of his life just wandering through the woods caring for a lantern? And if anything, why would he put Gregory's soul in there? If anything, it seems like the beast himself cares about the lantern and that his soul is in the lantern.
Like, your soul is in this lantern.
I like that Wirt was initially a just like very not thoughtful kid. He wouldn't really think about anything, and he immediately sees through what the beast is saying and is able to overcome that, and that is ultimately the thing that is able to defeat the beast. But before that, my god, I love the animation of the show. The beast's eyes light up. He's gonna show him true darkness. He's gonna show him true fear, but Wirt just threatens to blow out the lantern, hands it to the woodsman, and it's up to the woodsman to end it all. Wirt goes and saves Gregory, and God, I just love the woodsman saying that all this time, all those souls, none of it was real. His daughter was never in the lantern. And we just get this scene where the woodsman turns to the beast, and just for a split second, the beast's skin is illuminated, and you could just see his body is just lined with faces and souls, whatever you want to call it. And I guarantee you, I don't know if this could even pass. Like, genuinely, I don't know how you could greenlit that. It was probably only greenlit because it's shown for a second, but it's actually horrifying to see the beast's skin. It is terrifying to see all of these children's faces on the beast. God, it's just so unbelievably messed up. But the woodsman, he blows out the lantern, the beast is defeated.
You'll never see your daughter again, woodsman. Are you really ready to go back to that empty house? No, woodsman!
And Wirt and Gregory are now back home, being placed into an ambulance and being taken to the hospital. Wirt is able to pull Sarah because he now has confidence. He invites her back to his crib to listen to that tape. He's like, oh yeah, girl. Oh yeah. And we find out that the woodsman's daughter was never in the lantern. And I was thinking, okay, well, she just got killed, right? She was just killed, and the beast was just saying all that so that somebody would watch his lantern. But that wasn't the case. His daughter was alive this entire time. This whole time, his daughter has been staying in a different house, waiting for her father to return, and it turns out that the woodsman was just so unbelievably paranoid this entire time and manipulated by the beast that his daughter was in this lantern that he was staying out in the woods just to try to keep his daughter's spirit alive, and his daughter was alive this entire time. That is so unbelievably crazy. The fact that the woodsman was going around for what must have been years, harvesting children's souls just to try to keep his daughter alive, and she never actually left. That is so unbelievably sad. And there are actually Over the Garden Wall comics that follow the story of the daughter And the aftermath of all this, it's just so unbelievably crazy, and I feel so bad for the woodsman. That is just top tier manipulation. That is so unbelievably sad that all this time he was harvesting children's souls just to feed this lantern that didn't actually have his daughter in it. That's why I think the woodsman is by far the most tragic character in this entire show. That is just so unbelievably sad. But either way, Wirt and Greg, they get a happy ending. They keep their frog. Beatrice gets turned from a bird back into a person and gets to be with her family again. That was good stuff. Overall, a crazy ending. It's sad, it's bittersweet, some of it's happy, it's just all over the place, but I loved it so much. It wasn't this like huge climactic final battle against the beast where they had to use everything they possibly could. It was just a great moment for Greg and his character to finally be able to outsmart someone in a really good way where he showed no fear. He was usually not able to think. He was never able to make a move on Sarah. He was never able to do anything. He was afraid of just Jason Thunderburger. He was scared to do everything. And in that moment, he was able to outsmart this beast that had killed so many children in just 1 second. And I loved that. He immediately saw through this entire thing, and that just made it so unbelievably good to watch and such an amazing ending to this show. So why do I consider Over the Garden Wall to be a masterpiece? Obviously, the first thing I have to point out is the ambiance, the drawing, the art, the animation. All of it somehow feels eerie, yet comforting at the same time. It invites you in. It has a nostalgic vibe to it somehow. Even on your first watch, you somehow feel like you've been here before. That's a weird way to describe it, but that's just how it makes me feel. It makes me feel comfortable. I don't know, just something about it feels really good. But then I could also point to the writing. The story is amazing. Not one episode of this feels the same. It's all progressing the story, but something could be slice of life. Something could be the most horrifying thing you've ever seen, or something could be very dramatic, like the confrontation with the beast. All of it feels very different, but it all still feels like one cohesive story. In just 10 episodes, they told one of my favorite stories of all time. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point, yet it somehow feels like it takes a million years to get there because you're just having such a good time with this world and all these different characters. It works well. I don't really feel like there were any loose ends aside from the woodsman and his daughter, but there are comics about that, but still, it feels like one good cohesive story, and that's what I love about it. Greg was a great comedic character. Wirt, getting to watch his progression and his character arc was really enjoyable. Beatrice, getting to learn about her and her family and what she was trying to do to protect them was really good. Hell, I even love the frog. The beast was a great villain. The woodsman in his story is tragic and sad, but had such a layer of depth to the show. It's just overall a true masterpiece, a 10 out of 10. And there's a lot of shows that I usually say I would give a 10 out of 10. I would love that. But even those shows tend to have a bad episode here and there. This show has no bad episodes. All of it's good. All of it's enjoyable. And I love rewatching this show. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you've never seen Over the Garden Wall, please check it out. And if you have seen Over the Garden Wall, rewatch it. You won't regret it. It's just that good. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.